From a distance, they spotted a scene that sent chills down their spines. The general's convoy, surrounded by more than 30 tanks and dozens of fully armed military vehicles, was slowly making its way across the terrain. They weren't just escorting a general. This was Russia's most powerful combat force. From a distance, they spotted a scene that sent cutting-edge down their spines. But Ukraine general's convoy, they're surrounded by more than 30 tanks and dozens of fully armed military vehicles, was slowly making its way across the terrain. They weren't just escorting a general. Armed with deadly BGM-71 TOW missiles, the 5 Ukrainian soldiers readied themselves to strike. The countdown was over. The attack had begun. The battle erupted like a thunderclap in the midst of an unforgiving storm. The first missile fired. A BGM-71 TOW sliced through the air with deadly precision. The Russian convoy's leading vehicle disintegrated in a brilliant flash of orange. The ground trembled beneath the force of the explosion, sending shockwaves through the ranks of the Russian soldiers. Their focus was laser-sharp, their every move calculated. Each shot fired had one goal: to neutralize the threat before them. Despite the overwhelming numbers on the Russian side, the soldiers of Ukraine were far quicker, far more nimble. A Russian tank fired its main cannon, the blast shaking the earth, but it missed its target by a wide margin. The Ukrainians were already on the move, dodging the attack and repositioning, always one step ahead. But the battle wasn't one-sided. The Russians fought back with everything they had. Machine gun fire erupted from the tanks and armored vehicles, the sound deafening. Yet, the Ukrainians seemed to dance through the storm of bullets, using their surroundings for cover, moving like ghosts. Another shot. Another vehicle destroyed. The explosive force of the missile sent debris flying in all directions. Through it all, the Russian general, who had been the target all along, sat in the heart of his convoy. His face, once confident and unshaken, now betrayed a hint of concern. The explosions were getting closer. His guards, once surrounding him like a wall, were slowly being picked off, their numbers dwindling in the face of Ukrainian precision. Then, in a moment of perfect coordination, the final missile was launched. Time seemed to slow as the missile flew toward its target, the general's armored vehicle. A massive explosion tore through the air. The general's vehicle rocked, flames licking at the sides as it screeched to a halt. The chaos escalated. The battlefield became a symphony of explosions, gunfire, and smoke. Russian tanks, once imposing behemoths of war, were now reduced to burning husks. The land was littered with the wreckage of destroyed vehicles, while the thick black smoke rose up into the sky like a grim signal of the destruction unfolding. But it wasn't just the machines being destroyed. The human cost was just as heavy. A Russian soldier, caught off guard, tried to flee, only to fall to the ground as a Ukrainian sharpshooter's bullet found its mark. There was no escape from this onslaught, no safe haven. With every explosion, the gap closed between the general and his would-be assassins. The Ukrainians knew the final moment was near. Their mission was about to be accomplished, but they couldn't afford any mistakes. The slightest hesitation could cost them everything. The convoy was decimated. The general's vehicle was in ruins, and the remaining soldiers were scattering in every direction, panic taking hold. There was no leader left to command them. There was no strategy left to follow. And in that moment, the battlefield fell silent, save for the crackling of flames. The 5 Ukrainian soldiers stood victorious, their mission complete. They had taken on the might of Russia's military and emerged triumphant. They had struck with the precision of a surgeon and the ferocity of a lion. The Russian general's dream of conquering this land lay in ruins, as did his convoy. Ukraine had once again proven that no matter the odds, no matter the power of their enemies, they would stand strong and they would win. After defeating General Russia, who was attempting to enter the Kursk region, Ukraine celebrated a great victory. However, that victory was not enough to quell the enemy's wrath. The Ukrainian commander received distressing news. Russia, wounded and humiliated, was now planning his revenge. Russia, unwilling to accept his defeat, has launched hundreds of fighter jets for retaliation. This vengeance will come from the skies, with enough firepower to destroy everything in its path. Ukraine must prepare to face this overwhelming aerial assault. With this massive threat approaching, the Ukrainian commander immediately dispatched his elite team. Their mission was clear: stop Russia's aerial assault before it could devastate everything they've fought for. Four of Ukraine's finest soldiers, highly skilled and trained, swiftly made their way to an old fortress, positioned along a route that the Russian jets were likely to take. They knew this was the perfect strategic location to strike back against the aerial threat. They were certain, unwavering in their belief. The Russian jets would pass through this very spot, and when they did, they would be ready. And sure enough, not long after, the Russian jets appeared in the distance. They flew in tight formation, fast and determined, with a single goal: revenge for their previous loss. However, the 4 Ukrainian soldiers did not flinch. With unwavering confidence, they stood tall, their weapons ready. This was the moment they had been waiting for. Armed with the powerful Titan MPRL compact, a weapon renowned for its accuracy and lethality, they began to target the incoming jets one by one. There was no room for error. Each shot had to hit its mark. The battlefield was electric with the roar of engines overhead as more and more of Russia's jets soared across the sky. The first victory was swift, but this battle was far from over. The skies seemed to darken with the sheer number of planes now approaching, a relentless storm of metal and fire. But the Ukrainians were not fazed. The soldiers remained calm, their eyes fixed on the sky, every fiber of their being focused on the task ahead. The air around them was charged with energy, silent but certain, each soldier knowing that the fate of their people rested in their hands. Another missile fired. It flew with surgical precision, tearing through the sky and striking another jet in the formation. The explosion was immense, the jet disintegrating upon impact, sending fiery fragments raining down as the wreckage spiraled toward the earth. One by one, the Russian jets fell. Explosions rang out like thunder across the skies, marking the Ukrainians' perfect accuracy. But Russia's retaliation was swift. With every jet that crashed, more took their place. An unyielding wave of aerial destruction that sought to crush all in its path. The battle raged on, a deadly dance between the Ukrainian soldiers and the relentless might of Russia's air force. The Ukrainians, tireless and focused, never wavered, but they were running out of time. Each passing second brought more jets into the fray, their firepower becoming overwhelming. Then another shot launched with deadly intent. It tore through the air like a streak of light, finding its mark yet again. Another Russian jet shattered in midair, its fiery wreckage falling into the abyss below. As the number of Russian jets dwindled, desperation began to show in their tactics. The once unified assault now scattered in disarray, as the remaining jets tried to outmaneuver the Ukrainians, attempting evasive maneuvers in a last-ditch effort to survive. remaining jets, desperate to make a final strike, dived toward the fortress with everything they had, their weapons primed for an all-out attack. They descended toward the Ukrainian position in a reckless bid to destroy what remained. But the Ukrainians were ready. With precision born of years of training, they fired once more, one after another. The final jets of Russia fell from the sky, their explosions lighting up the battlefield in a blaze of destruction. One by one, Russia's aerial assault was shattered. The once unbeatable force had been brought to its knees. Scattered across that afternoon, at the Ukrainian military headquarters, their commander received news that sent shockwaves through the ranks. Within hours, the Russian general of war would pass through the Kursk region. The information came fast, a window of opportunity that couldn't be missed. With a well-crafted strategy, the Ukrainian commander immediately dispatched 5 of his finest soldiers. Their mission was clear. They had to stop the general's convoy and dismantle the military force guarding him. 5 warriors, highly trained with exceptional skills, were ready for the challenge. From a distance, they spotted a scene that sent chills down their spines. The general's convoy, surrounded by more than 30 tanks and dozens of fully armed military vehicles, was slowly making its way across the terrain. They weren't just escorting a general. This was Russia's most powerful combat force, filled with elite soldiers and cutting-edge technology. But Ukraine felt no fear. Their confidence remained unshaken. Armed with deadly BGM-71 tow missiles, the 5 Ukrainian soldiers readied themselves to strike. The countdown was over. The attack had begun. The battle erupted like a thunderclap in the midst of an unforgiving storm. The first missile fired. A BGM-71 tow sliced through the air with deadly precision. The Russian convoy's leading vehicle disintegrated in a brilliant flash of orange. The ground trembled beneath the force of the explosion, sending shockwaves through the ranks of the Russian soldiers. Their focus was laser-sharp, their every move calculated.